these decisions and pass on power to the person we think is going to be a good surrogate for our decision making. But it assumes that we have equal knowledge and equal opinions on all of these different issues, and nothing could be farther from the truth of that. The fact is that our knowledge varies tremendously, and capitalism is a system designed for us to apply our knowledge to where it actually makes a difference. If I'm going to buy an automobile, I put a fairly significant amount of time in researching exactly what the right automobile for me, because I know this is a fairly significant investment I'm going to make. I'm not just going to run down and pick the first car that I see that's a pretty color, because I can weigh my choice based on how much it's worth to me. If I'm going to buy a pencil, I don't worry about it as much. Okay? The one vote every 4 years does not allow us to make these decisions. What's his name? He used to be on the 5. The Democratic consultant. No, on the 5.
Oh, 5.
Big guy.
Oh,
Mondale.
Bob Eckel.
Bob Eckel. Bob Eckel used to say something about once a week on the 5 that just drove me nuts. He would say, when they would get onto like energy, he would say, what do you want to do? Put the oil companies in charge of U.S. energy policy? And he never asked me that personally. But my answer is yes, absolutely. That is absolutely who should be in charge of our energy policy. For the following reasons. First of all, they actually know what they're doing. Why should I have a vote in how they get energy? I don't know anything about it. I'm utterly ignorant on this subject. Okay? Now, in capitalism, I vote on what I want, okay? But I don't vote on how they get me what I want, because people tend to know what they want. They don't know anything about getting what they want. If I would say that I would want a car with higher gas mileage, because I'd like to save money on gas, that's a want, and I'll shop around and I'll find the car with the best gas mileage, because that one will save me the money that I want to save. Now, if you ask me, how do we get a car to have higher gas mileage? I don't have the foggiest idea. What do they do to a car to make it get higher gas mileage? No clue. But I don't have to have a clue, because the people who make cars know what they're doing. And if there's going to be a better idea on how to fix the car, it's going to come from people who know how we got this far in the cars. And I, as the customer, just demand the outcome, not the process. Okay? Moreover, there's a million issues where I have no interest in the outcome or the process. Okay? I don't like broccoli. I should not be telling broccoli farmers how to grow their broccoli. In fact, people should make decisions based on their investment in particular areas. And it's the logic of capitalism. You get way better decisions because we're not asking people who are totally ignorant to weigh in on every topic. And moreover, as a final cherry on this particular cake, the capitalist process manages to do this all seamlessly and without rancor and debate. I was noting what you were saying about Common Core and educational systems. I speak to political groups, Republican groups all around the country, and I frequently share podiums with all kinds of people. I cannot tell you how many debates I've heard about how schools should be run in a particular jurisdiction. They've got somebody there who's running for the school board, and he says we need to stop doing this and start doing this, and that's why you should vote for me to be on the school board. And it's fascinating because look at how many areas of our life where we don't have a board. Let's take pizza. Why doesn't the local town have a pizza board to decide how many pizzerias they should have, and what toppings should be put on the pizza, what the delivery time should be, how big should that pizza be? Should it be 30 inches or 24 inches? Why isn't there a board? Why aren't there elections? Why aren't there people arguing about this? Because capitalism makes it all go away. The pizza place makes the pizza in whatever way they think will sell. And if it doesn't sell, if they don't do it right, they go out of business. And then someone who does a better job comes in. You remove the whole rancor from these issues by handling them through a capitalistic process and getting the democratic process out of it. No losers. Again, it's just the flip side of what I was saying about the different flavors of ice cream. So it's a way better system, and it intersects with democracy only in the sense that we want to do things without laws, because laws, are about force. That's all the government brings to the table. And this is what our founding fathers were actually in favor of, is a minimalist government that would do the few things the government has to do, and you leave the rest of it to freedom. And what's freedom? Freedom's another word for capitalism. That's what it is. Capitalism is just a technical economic term for freedom. And then there's some more questions that come up. The next one is, who makes the laws if we're going to do things in a capitalistic model? And the answer, and it's a very important answer, is that we don't need new laws. And I'm being very clear here. I'm not saying we don't need any laws at all. We do need some laws. What we don't need is new laws. And this is where I've spoken about our founding fathers. This is the one area where I really disagree with our founding fathers. I think our founding fathers made one mistake, which is bigger than any other mistake, and it is the institution of sitting legislatures. The idea that you have a bunch of people whose job it is to sit around and come up with laws. This is like idle hands in the devil's workshop. It is the most dangerous thing you could possibly have in society. And if they don't make enough laws, you know what happens? Their opponent runs against them the next election and said, that guy's hardly made any laws at all. They run commercials. He's been in there for 4 years. He's only made 3 things illegal.
Do nothing.
He said, do nothing. What's the matter with him? You put me in there. I'm going to make practically everything illegal, okay? I've got thousands of laws, and when I'm running for re-election, you will know I made practically everything illegal because I'm an activist guy, and that's the kind of guy you want in your legislature. Okay? This to me is a horror. I suspect that we had practically every law that we're ever going to need 100 years ago. All of the things that need to be against the law were against the law pretty much 100 years ago. And Hayek says something fascinating, not in the Road to Serfdom, but he says it in other books. He says that we don't make laws, we discover them. That there is a logic to the law, just like there's a logic to capitalism, and it's baked into the cake. It's built into the system. And we see a lot of examples of it. The fact that, murder is against the law. Could you have a society where murder is not against the law? I mean, it's impossible. You got to make murder against the law. And then you've got, a stiffer penalty for first-degree murder, premeditated, and not quite so stiff penalty for does that have to be? I suspect it does. Is there a society in the world that gives you a stiffer penalty for second-degree murder than first-degree murder? I mean, there's a logic to this. And the penalty for robbery needs to be less of a penalty than the penalty for murder. If they're the same, Baron Puzzescu talks about this. He says if you execute people for robbery and for murder, then the robbers will murder all of their victims because there's no additional penalty, and why leave a witness to identify yourself later? Okay, there's a logic to the laws. We discover them. So there are some technological issues where things change. I will grant that the invention of cars created a need for traffic laws that did not exist 100 years ago. So you have some new
not nearly as many than we actually have.
That's probably true. But I'll acknowledge something. I'm starting from the position that we don't need any laws at all, besides the fact we can get rid of every law that was in the entire country that was passed the last 100 years and lose virtually nothing and gain a great deal.